Hi friends, thank you so much for joining me today. Today we are going to be sewing up the iris top from Wild Seeds Patterns. It's one of my favorite basic tee patterns. You do use cotton spandex or some kind of knit fabric to go ahead and create this. It's got a nice little stretch to it. It's super soft and it's a very basic tee that goes along with a lot of different shorts and skirt patterns. Today I'm going to be using some fabric that I have from Sweet Tickles Custom Fabric Group. Today this is from the Here We Are round that they are currently doing pre-order from. Depending on when you're watching this video, they might have some retail available. Just head on to their Facebook group and check them out. But this fabric is very soft. It's got a nice little stretch to it. It's their cotton spandex. And if you can see the pattern, the pattern is just adorable. My daughter is going to freak out when she sees it. They also have a coordinating glitter that goes along with this fabric. So I'll be using that for the sleeves and for the bindings. Now, I am going to be modifying this pattern slightly. I'm going to be adding some bindings to these sleeves, which you can see on this already made one, as well as the binding onto the bottom of the hem. I do like the way that the binding looks on the bottom. It just gives it a nice little clean finish, at least in my own opinion, but you can certainly follow the directions on the pattern. So what I already did is I already cut out my pattern pieces, and to add the binding to the bottom of the hem, I just took a piece of fabric that I wanted to use. It's roughly about 2 inches width, and I made sure that it is the same length on the bottom of the sleeves as well as the bottom of the top. See, as you can see here, I've already added it to this piece for the top. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and take this piece and hot dog style, I'm going to fold it in half. So you're going to have this long piece. And I'm just going to attach it using my serger. So if you can see, I'm just folding it in half, right sides together. And I'm just going to serge it on to the bottom of the front and back of the t-shirt, as well as add the binding to the bottom of these sleeves. I do have one of my sleeves ready to show you. Actually, it looks like it fell. Whoops. Anyway, so here it is, and like I said, I really like the way that the binding looks. Here is the back of it, where you can see my seam where I serged it onto there. And when I flip it over, this is what it's going to look like. So, pretty basic. And so go ahead and follow along, and let's create this iris top. So like I went ahead and described, all I'm doing is adding a little binding to the hem by folding it in half, placing it right sides together on the bottom of the shirt. I believe this is the back of the shirt that I'm adding the binding to. You will do this for the front and the back piece before constructing our t-shirt. I did want to mention really briefly that I will be using my serger for the majority of this construction. However, you are certainly welcome to use your sewing machine if you've got like a lightning stitch or maybe like a zigzag pattern stitch that you can use. You can certainly use that. You do want to use a stretch stitch so that our fabric can stretch along with it, especially when your child is putting on their clothes. Sometimes it can be a little stretched out and you don't want them breaking any of those threads. Here are what my sleeves look like now. I've gotten the hem finished with my binding piece for both of them, as well as the front and back of the iris top. I've already added that there. We are actually almost done, if you can believe it. Now we just got to attach our shirts together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the front and I am going to place it right sides together on top of this on top of the back bodice piece. So right sides means that I'm going to do the print patterns facing each other. So when you're sewing, you're basically looking at the back lining part. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to sew across the shoulder piece, as well as attach it up here. I will actually be using my sewing machine to do that, and then I'm just going to trim it off using my serger. You don't need to, but I like to go ahead and do that just for a little secure stitching right there. Okay, now that we have the seams all done for the shoulder pieces, we are going to attach the sides of the iris top. So right sides together still. We're just going to do the same thing. We're going to stitch down the sides, both sides, and then we're just going to serge it. With the binding on here, make sure that it's laying outward like this, because you want to be able to make sure that it sticks out like that. But other than that, just go ahead and sew it. Now that you've attached the shoulders and the side seams of this top, it is now time to add the sleeves. So what you want to do is you want to take these sleeves, fold them in half. So you got this short end right here. You are going just to lay them like that. And we are going to sew, so your pattern piece should look like this. We are going to sew along this little side seam right here. Just sew down, and then you can use your serger to go ahead and finish that if you'd like. But this is knit, so it doesn't unravel, so it's not a big deal if you don't finish those. Once you have sewn down the sides of these sleeves, you can go ahead and unfold it so you can see the beautiful right side of the fabric, which is also, where the pattern is. You're going to take this sleeve and you're going to make sure that your shirt is still inside out. So this is going to be right sides with right sides, okay? So I'm just going to slip this in. This little narrow piece right here is going to be attached to the little armpit area of the shirt. So I'm just going to pin it in place and just kind of put a couple little pins in there, and then I'm going to sew around the sleeve once I have it attached, and then just do a quick serge around it just to finish the little hem. So here are both sleeves attached. It's looking quite well. I am really excited about this because all we have left is just the neck binding. Just a little note about the neck binding. You can definitely use the technique that I'm about to use for the neck binding on the sleeves and on the bottom of the shirt. If the thing about the way I do the binding on the bottom is it can leave just a little bit of a little seam that you might be able to see just a little bit that I need to go back and trim. I like doing it this way just because it's super fast. I don't have to sit there and fuss with a lot of pins or clips. But you can definitely use the binding method that I'm about to use for the sleeves as well as the bottom of the shirt. So what we're going to do, you're going to take your neck binding and we're going to put right sides together and attach it on the smallest side. So we are going to just kind of fold it on itself, right sides together. That's what it looks like. Here's the raw edges. We're just going to sew a little seam down here. I'm just going to finish it off real fast with the serger. And then we are going to fold it in half once more. So I'll show you in just a second. I've got it all sewn up. Now we've got this little circle piece of fabric for the neck binding. And we are just going to take it and we are going to fold it. So I've got it. See, I'm folding it with the little insides touching. So wrong sides together. And we are just making a little circle donut for a band. So you can see here. Here's the inside, there's the outside of the bind, and in the middle is the wrong sides. So wrong sides together. We are going to take some pins or clips, whatever you've got. I only have pins, unfortunately. I don't have clips. But I don't recommend using your serger over pins, or it will break the knife off of your serger. So just FYI, from personal experience, I've done that before. Don't do that. But you are going to go ahead and half it. So I've got this seam right here. I am just going to find the other side of that. So just kind of folding it. Here is the middle of the front. So I'm just going to take a pin and mark the middle section, which is here. Now I'm going to attach it to the shirt. You do want to go ahead and attach it with the right sides together. So this part right here is going to be attached to the front of the shirt. An easy way to do that is to take the shoulder seams and kind of meet them in the middle, and then you're going to look for where it meets. So here is going to be the middle of my shirt, right here. And I am going to place this raw sides together. So the little raw sides of the binding is going to line up with the raw sides of the neckline that we have on the shirt right now. And I'm just going to kind of pin that to hold that in place. I'm going to do that with the back, and then I'm going to go around and put a couple extra pins around the sides so that when I am sewing it on, it's not going to move on me. So a quick note is that you want to stretch the binding to fit your shirt. So don't stretch the shirt to fit the binding. You want to make sure you stretch the binding to fit the shirt. All right, here we have it, friends. We have sewn up the iris top. I think it looks absolutely darling. The fabric I chose is super vibrant. It's beautiful. It was a very fast sew. So thank you so much for following along today. If you are new here, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I will be sewing up more patterns so that you can go ahead and sew along with me, and we can create some beautiful garments for our little ones. So thank you so much.